That's really nice. Nice to see all the names around, and I would be happy to meet you in person also someday. Uh, yeah, in this virtual world, but I'm happy to be connected over the internet as well. So, coming back to the session, okay, before the session, a bit of introduction about myself, and then let's jump into the session. So, I don't know, you know or not, I've been in the IT for quite some while. It's been 15 years. And from past 3 years, I'm working as a trainer wherein I deliver trainings on different modules. So, from the introduction, what I've understood is that some of you are absolute beginners, and some of you would have experience around, RPA a bit. But this session, I will take this opportunity to start from the very beginning, not to overcomplicate things and keep it very simple and crisp. Okay, at any point in time, if you feel that I'm saying something that you're not able to understand, just stop me then and there itself, and we will repeat the same. Because this is an introductory session, it's not that I'll dig deep into the technical stuff. No. By the end of the session, you should be knowing what is process mining, and that is my agenda because it's comparatively a very new concept for developers, I would say, and a bit different than what they normally do as well. But it is something very, very interesting. I'm sure by end of it, if you stick around, you will be excited about this process mining concept altogether. So on that note, let's begin the session. I will turn off my video so for better bandwidth. Okay, I hope that's fine. So coming back now, coming to process mining. Okay, I had opened a link. Let me start with that because some of you said you're an absolute beginner. Okay, coming to UiPath. UiPath is an automation first company wherein we are talking about automating our manual repetitive work. Okay, now, those who work on RPA, I know they already know, but those who are comparatively newer or are just into RPA, it's important to know that we have lot of different products when it comes to automation itself. Now, the most basic products that UiPath would offer is the Studio family, then Orchestrator, and Robots. If you're absolutely new, you must have done developer training or advanced developer training where you worked on UiPath Studio, right? You might know lesser about Orchestrator or Robots, but somewhere you might have read it. But when it comes to UiPath hyper automation platform, process mining, or all the other tools are also there. And today we are going to specifically discuss about what is process mining. Okay, we're not going into the automation zone wherein the main three products are Studio or Orchestrator or Robot. We are going to focus on process mining. In fact, this is the we will start with what is the discovery platform offering, and within that we will dig deep into what is process mining. So that's my agenda for today. Now coming back, let's jump into the slides, taking the guesswork out of your automation journey. Right now, okay, these are the topics that we will be covering. What is process mining in general? What is UiPath process mining specifically? Then we will go into the product deep dive. We will talk about the various stages of implementation of a process mining project. We will talk about what is a delivery accelerator and maybe a demo around the same. We will talk about what is the infra setup, use cases, and some useful links. Now, I don't want to cover everything that we have on the slide. I had a couple of topics already listed down, but I'm in no rush to cover everything. If we keep it interactive, if you have more questions, we may discuss two or three, I would say, parts of this slide, and I'll be happy with that also. Let's see how it goes, okay? I'll keep it free flowing. Now, what is process mining? Okay, before we start with what is process mining, you must know that process mining is a separate product than automation product of UiPath. Okay, and now if you talk about this slide comes from Everest Group, which is one of the rating agency. And if you see, UiPath stands second in the world when it comes to process mining. So UiPath's process mining tool is second in the world of the whole process mining tools that are available in the market. Process mining is a concept, just like RPA is a concept. There are a lot of different companies offering process mining products, and UiPath has its own process mining product, and we're proud to say we stand second in the whole world when it comes to UiPath process mining. And I hope it motivates you to learn this tool, which is very interesting. Now, coming to the whole UiPath platform, as I told you, now if you just talk about 2018, okay, in 2018, UiPath had three products: Studio, Orchestrator, and Robots, right? Studio, Robots, and Orchestrator. Coming to 2022, UiPath has the full hyper automation platform, which comprises of discover phase, build phase, manage, engage, and run. And today we will be focusing on the discovery phase. What do you mean by discovery is, see, you know how to automate stuff, but before you automate the stuff, it is very, very important to understand the business processes that are currently running in the organization. And exactly for that, to discover those business processes, where we have this whole discovery platform. Coming back, we have four different products. These are different products altogether, okay? Automation Hub, Task Capture, Process Mining, and Task Mining within the Discovery platform. What it is, in the most simplest of words, in order to discover what is your business process, you have these four different tools, and these will help you streamline the whole process of discovery of your business process. Now, let me take a minute to talk about each of the different softwares that we have. Now, Automation Hub. What is Automation Hub? It's a software to crowdsource ideas from your employees. Now, when you think of automation, okay, if it's a small organization of, let's say, 60 people, 100 people, or even 500 people, you would know what are the manual repetitive processes in your business, okay? But let's just say that you are a company of 20,000 people, 30,000 people, and so on. Then the business processes are spread across different geographies in different teams. You don't know what are the business processes running. So Automation Hub is that tool wherein each employee in the organization can put forward their ideas which they think should be automated within their zone of work, what they're currently doing. Okay. Coming to task capture, to simplify it the most, you can just think of a video recording. If someone is creating a form, let's suppose someone is filling an account opening form in a bank, and you want to automate that, you can just create a video and then you can play it back to the developer to make them understand what they were doing so that they know what are the steps to be automated. Task capture is a much, much refined form of that. It captures the whole business process as it is from the front end. It's a much better version of that, but just to simplify. Coming to task mining. Now, let's say if there are five different people in a bank in the operations department opening an account. Now, there's a very real chance that someone may be doing one step different than the other person for the same. For example, when you're filling an account opening form, let's say there are 100 fields. One person may be filling one field differently. Maybe he has forgotten, or maybe he's told the process that way, or maybe over a period of time he forgot to fill that one field, and so on. So task mining, when you want to analyze the work of different people doing the same business process each day, you use task mining so that it can tell you all the ifs, buts, exceptions of a business process. So this is also from front end, right? These are those tools. Coming back to process mining. Now, process mining is that tool which analyze the data from the backend with respect to your business process. Now, what exactly it means is, What you do is you load the data of your ERPs. Now, when you say ERP, what it means is all the big business softwares. It could be SAP, Oracle, ServiceNow, Salesforce, or so on. Or if I give you a very simple example, even if you go to a Pizza Hut, you order a pizza, right? Now, that pizza, in order to get to your plate, they need software to manage the whole supply chain as well as delivery of that pizza, right? And the whole data is stored at backend in some database or so. And some software would be designed for the whole delivery chain as well as creating the receipts and so on. It could be SAP, Oracle, Salesforce, ServiceNow, or any other software. But all the logs would be there, right? For example, initially they would say, okay, we need this much of wheat, we need this much of cheese, we need this much of vegetables, this much oregano, chili powder, and so on, right? All of this is stored somewhere. So, process mining is that tool which connects directly to your data source. It connects to your database and turns raw data into intuitive visualizations. So basically, it gives you the visualization in the form of bar charts, graphs, and so on. Once you visualize your business processes, you can find out what are the problems or inefficiencies, or what are the variations, or what are the exceptions in your business process. And once you have identified that, you try to streamline the business process. For example, let's say this orange marks, okay, you feel that this particular steps in your whole business process is something that can be automated. You automate them, and what would happen? Your process would run smoother, faster, and maybe cheap as well, because you've automated some of the process which were manual and repetitive. But you will only automate them once you have realized that these are the processes which are manual and repetitive in nature and should be automated, right? And this visualization is what the process mining will give you after you feed the logs of your ERP system into this process mining software. And then you monitor your processes continuously to find out more inefficiencies and so on. So, what I want to make you clear is process mining is not a tool for automation. It is just a tool where you feed the logs of your business processes or of your ERP systems, and then you are able to visualize some of the uh, visualize your business processes. Okay. Now, digital information is everywhere. So, if you worked in any organization, okay, you would know that there are logs that are stored. Sorry, there are logs that are stored at the back end. Correct? Now, in order to, I told you, right, what you do is in the process mining, you feed the logs of this somewhat of this kind, and what you get as an output is a graphical view of this kind. But what is important is in order to get this kind of graph or visualization, you would need the mandatory fields. And what are the mandatory fields is case ID. Okay, this is the case ID, then the timestamp and the event. What all of these means is, see, now it could be a simple, okay, let's take the, I don't know why pizza is coming to my mind. I don't like pizza at all. Just a disclaimer, okay? But yeah, let's take the example of pizza itself. Now, when a pizza, when you order a pizza from your app or from any website or so, like Pizza Hut, right? We log in into the app, or maybe Swiggy, Zomato, whatever. They would receive the order, they would start preparing the order, and once it's out for delivery, they would further change the status to out for delivery, and once it is delivered, they would change the status to delivered and so on, and maybe send you a feedback form also. Now, there are a lot of different steps that happen. For example, order received, then in process or in the process of making pizza, then it is order ready for dispatch, then maybe dispatched, right? Then order delivered, and ultimately feedback form sent. These are the different events that happened in the whole pizza process. Okay. Now, when that happened is the timestamp. For each of the event that would have happened, there would be a timestamp at when that happened, right? But in order to track the whole process of pizza from the minute you ordered to the minute you received it, you need to have a unique ID in place, which would remain the same for all the different events that would have occurred, right? So now, if you see this scenario, this is given for a case registration. So now these are the different events that happen for a particular case, which is opening a case, registering, reopening, defining permit or confirmation. All throughout this process, the case ID would remain the same. And there would be a timestamp for different events that would have occurred. And once you feed this data, this kind of chart would come, and this blue ball that is moving, that's looking very nice and shiny, is what nothing but your case ID. So by feeding this data, you will have this visualization. And once you have this visualization, this is simple chart. So if you see, let's say the ideal process is opening the case, registering, then defining the permit and confirmation, right? But you would see that in some of the cases, these two activities or events are also occurring which are unwanted. But you would only dig deep into the analysis of why that occurred if you're able to have that graphical view in mind. And that is what process mining would give you. Okay, so this is the bare minimum mandatory fields that process mining needs in order to mine your data. So if I just clarify about the name, process mining. Process stands for business process. It could be purchase. It could be purchase to pay process, like as we just say, ordering the pizza or so. And then mining stands for mine. That means understanding the whole process, or digging deep into the business process, understand the various levels, parts of that business process. That is what is process mining. Okay. Now, why do we need it? Because, as I told you, right, 30% of the decision makers report delay to their digital transformation initiatives due to misunderstand process. And to be honest, this is real thing. This is not just because of the slide that I'm showing you. There are organization are so complex. Some business processes are set when some other people are there in the organization, and probably after a few years the people would have left, and the business processes would be running in the same way, even though they could be more efficient. But the thing is, sometimes the processes are so damn complex that nobody in the business really knows how the whole process end to end flows. And that is where the process mining sits in, where the importance of process mining comes into picture. So lack of visibility into complex processes leading to trial and error approach of automation, processes that cross different departments, different systems, and so on, right? So these are a couple of reasons that why we think process mining is important. And what happens is, when you feed data into process mining, you would expect, let's say this is an invoice process, okay? And you would expect that for an invoice process, sorry why this is moving, okay, for an invoice process, let's say this is your ideal process. You receive an invoice, you process the invoice, you check the invoice, approve and pay. And you think that when you feed the data to the process mining, you would get this kind of a graph where there will be a couple of variations or so, right? For example, let's say you would have request data or check contract condition which you don't want, and you think you will solve it, right? But in an ideal scenario, this is how the graph generally looks like, and that's a real world scenario where the processes are so damn complex when the data is being fed into process mining, and businesses realize that all the while, a lot of unwanted steps have been happening through. With that, okay, let me pause for any questions that you have at this moment. Any questions? Okay, then yes, Rahul.
Hello, Minal. Yeah,
Yes.
sorry for the late question. So, what I mean is, like, currently the process mining is taking the logs for creating this process workflow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do we need to do any customization on the logs to get this flow, or by default, this process mining will do that?
A
So it
good
means
question.
like, do we need to do any customization in the ERP system or in the logging mechanism in order to get a proper workflow, or how it is working?
Oh, no customization needed in the ERP system, not at all. Because you would not touch your ERP system that has been there for years altogether. No. How it is working is you need to get the logs and probably format the logs in a way that is acceptable to process mining. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, for example, okay, with that, let's jump straight into the demo. I think it'll be very interesting.
Sure.
Now, okay, let me open. Give me a minute. Let me explain this with an example. Okay, let me also repeat the question that, yeah, so that probably everyone can take benefit and try to understand it. I'll explain this whole question in next 15 minutes, right? Let me show you a bit of a demo around how the process mining looks like, and then I'll come back to how you feed the logs to the process mining, okay? Now, I'll just show you the front view and then I'll explain how you feed the logs. Or I think it's already open. Another good news is, see, process mining is now available over Automation Cloud. I'm not sure how many of you know, but if you're working on Automation Cloud in your organization, if you have an enterprise license, you can have couple of days free license to try process mining also. Okay, now this is over Automation Cloud itself.
Meenal, is it available in the community edition as well for any short period?
I think no, but you can upgrade the community to enterprise, right? 60 days for free,
Okay.
right? And then you can try your hands on process mining.
Hmm.
Okay. Coming back now, if you see this process, okay. Now here what we've done is we've fed some logs of invoice process. So it gives you this kind of graphical view. So the total number of cases we have is 1000, and here we have fed this. So if you see for these 1000 cases, the receive invoice happened. That means we received the invoice for 1000 of the cases. And generally the last step would be to pay the invoice. And if you see only for 965 cases, the invoices were paid. And the question would be, where did the what happened to the rest other 45 invoices? The data fed here is very, very less, but to make you understand it or to simplify it a lot, so we've put in very few data. So if you see now, if you see here, see, we receive, this is a happy path. So when an invoice is received, right, we check the received invoice, we do another final check of invoice, and we approve the invoice, and finally we pay the invoice. And if you see that data has reduced from receiving the invoice to paying the invoice, right? Now the question is, what are the other parts that your cases are traveling through, right? So that is an important part. Now, coming to how these graphs are generated, they are generated automatically. You don't have to do anything. The only thing that you need to be sure is feeding the data correctly. Now, as I told you, this data is ultimately being fed from your ERP system. The database could be Oracle or any other database, and you can directly make connectors to your SQL database, or you can also get reports in the form of CSV files or Excel files and upload your data into process mining. right? Now, how you mine this data is, see, if I just dig into more details, your ideal process is what we saw. But if you see your actual process, you see there are a lot of other activities which are unwanted. For example, checked and approved, repeat payment process, or clarify deviant invoices, and so on. Now, in your business, you would want to find out why these activities or what are the issues. For example, one of the most common issues could be, let's suppose your invoice is paid, but your invoice is not approved. How do you really find out? Now, if I just add a filter here with activity, approve invoice. Now, approve invoice. What it will do is it will show me all the cases which has this approve invoice activity. But if I want to find out those cases which do not have, I'll just click on this filter. Now these are all the cases which do not have approve invoice. Then let's say, but at the same time, I want those cases which has pay invoice. So what it means is, now for an invoice, it is very important that when you receive an invoice, before you pay the invoice, you must approve the invoice also, right? Let's say in the business process, there is something that is happening wrong, but you don't know what are those cases where the payment is happening without approval. So it gives you a very clear picture of that out of 1000 cases, we have 124 cases which are paid, but they are never approved. And if you want to go into further details of these cases, okay, you can, let me put it this way, then you can further get into the details of these cases. For example, if I want to see the case type, now let's say, because these are invoices, right? Now if you see small invoices, out of 124 cases, 109 are small invoice. Or if you want to see it by any other group, like if you want to see about the amount, for each case there is an amount that is involved. For this group, there is 91 such cases. So you can further dig into the details based upon another attribute as well. Or if you want to go into the details of all of these 124 cases, you just need to click on this details. Sorry. So it will show you the unique case ID. These are 124 cases. The case information, case start date, case status, case type, and the case value also. If you want to sort this data with respect to the cases with higher amount, you can sort it out. Now it's up to you how you solve that problem. See, process mining, you don't solve the problem straight away. You are only discovering, finding out what is your problem. Once you have found out what is your problem, then you can solve it. For example, okay, I wanted to do meditation. I tried so many times to sit calmly, close my eyes, and try to do meditation. Okay, I could not do it, but I knew that I have a problem that I couldn't do meditation. Okay, and I was trying so many different ways. So while I tried to sit down and tried to meditate, it did not work. I tried to walk and meditate, and sometimes it clicked that I'm that one person who has to walk, who has to be in action, who has to be in movement in order to be able to meditate. But before that, if I don't know my problem, how can I solve it? Right? So exactly, coming back to here, process mining is that tool which will tell you where the problem lies. How you solve it, it's up to you. Okay, I'll just add one more example and then I'll come back to how to feed the data. Now, if I talk about another problem, let's say we have another, I have just cleared out the filter. Let's say I have another problem. Now, if you see, we have all of these events, right? Now, let's say we have a final check of invoice. Now, this activity, if you see, there is a loop. That means there are cases where this is happening more than once. So I will add another filter, directly follows. So what I want to do is all those cases where this activity, final check of invoice, is directly followed by final check of invoice. That means it's happening twice. I want to find out all such cases. So if you see, there are 200 such cases where final check of invoice is happening 2 times, right? Why is it happening 2 times, right? It's just wastage of time and money. So if I go to the automation tab, then let's change. It will give me that how much percentage of it is automated. Now it depends upon how you feed the data also. Let's say for every activity I have told whether it is manual or whether it is automated. For example, if I would have another field called user and that user name is either system or bot, I would know that it is automated. Otherwise I would mark it as manual. Now it is telling you it is 46% automated. You may want to keep a target of automating it more. So it shows you further details that if you automate it, if you make it 100% automated, you are going to save $6,964, right? And the total time doing this activity manually is 3.34 years, right? And so on. So this way you also get an idea about how much of the money and how much of the time, human time, you will be saving if you try to automate it. How you automate that is something that you have to work it out, corresponding to using RPA, UiPath Studio and so on. But this only tells you that, okay, this is what you will be saving if you automate it. Okay, that is coming to the front end view of it. Let me give a pause here. Mm. Mm. Okay, let me answer another question and then probably I'm not sure of the trial license, but yeah, we will take that up. Okay, coming back now, how you feed this data. In order to feed the data to UiPath Process Mining, there are a couple of different ways. Now, if I go back, so if I go back, now in this process mining, like this is the process mining tab that we have. Now here, when you try to create any new application, see, you have these different generic and custom applications available. Now we have some generic applications like template one, single file and multi-file, which is used for any and every business scenario. And then we have some custom applications which can be used for specific scenario. For example, if you have SAP purchase to pay, right? Or you have this order to cash, or you have in Salesforce lead to order business process, or in ServiceNow you have incident management. You can use the specific connector, but if you don't have a specific business process, let's say your business process is resolving the tickets, the customer service ticket, or any delivery process, or inventory management process, then we don't have a custom application as of now for that. Then you will be using our generic application. So when you use this generic application, you have to just give a name and go to save next. Once you do that, you have three options here. One is to use the sample data that is given in the application. Second is you can upload the data in the form of TSV or CSV files. And third is upload the data using contract in extractor. If you use sample data is just so that you can use the sample data and try to see the visualization and so on. If you want to load your own data, you can load the data in the form of any TSV or CSV. For example, you have to first download the data from your ERP system and then upload it here. But at the same time, the data has to be loaded in a proper format. And here is the documentation for the same. So if I'm using template one multi-files, then the data has to be loaded in this exact manner. Now, if I go deep into it, it talks about three different tables. One is cases table, then another is event log table, and the third is tags table. Then it tells you what are the fields it is expecting. It's expecting case ID, which is a mandatory field, then case status, whether a case is open or closed, case type, case value, that is in amounts, right? It's double. And then apart from that, your business process can have any number, any other properties or as well, like it's case properties basically. For that, you can use any of these fields. You are given 30 generic text fields, 10 generic double fields, 10 date time fields, boolean and duration fields as well. You can make use of these fields to give your case information, in this case's CSV file. For event log, you have these fields. Out of these, 3 are mandatory. As I told you, these are the mandatory fields that are needed to mine your data using process mining, which is case ID, activity, and event end. Case ID is the unique case ID, which will remain same throughout the whole case. Activity means the different activities that would happen. For example, receive invoice, pay invoice, approve invoice. For pizza, it could be receiving the order, delivering the order, in progress, or dispatching, and so on. And the timestamp at when that activity happened. Then we have all other fields also, but they're not mandatory. For example, whether this particular activity is automated or not, any cost related to this particular event or activity, any details of the event or start time, the team that did this activity, the user who executed this activity, and so on, along with couple of other custom fields which are given to you. You can utilize them as per whatever is your use case. Lastly, we have tags. What are tags is basically tags are business KPIs which you will define as per what you need to find out. For example, if you want to find out that you have an SLA that from the start of the case to the end of the case, it should be done within 30 days. If it is not done within 30 days, tell me all such cases. So that is the business KPI which the business owner will tell you, and you will have to create a tag for the same. And that is what you store in the tags table. So if you feed the data in this way, you will straight away get the visualization in the process mining. So basically what I mean to say is you don't have to dump your data from your ERP to process mining. No, you have to feed only those data which is required for it to mine. For example, the data may look something like this. For example, see, for a case ID, we have some metadata in this table or in this file, like case owner who's responsible for this case ID, the amount corresponding to this case, what is the case type, what is the supplier, what is the supplier type, and so on. Similarly, in the events table, we would have data corresponding to the whole events, like for example, for one case ID, if I just filter this data corresponding to one case ID, any one case ID. Now, these are the different activities that happen for one case. For example, first it was receive invoice. Let me sort it with respect to the time. First, you receive the invoice, then check received invoice, then final check of invoice, another final check of invoice, approve and pay, right? And for each of this activity, this happened in country, which is given at the time when it happened, then the team who did it, the user who executed this activity, along with an event ID. There could be many more information as well. For example, if you're mining the data of inspection lot, there could be badge, there could be material number, material group, plant, company code, and so on, right? But yeah, this is how your data should look like for the events itself. And this is what you're going to feed in the process mining to get that kind of visualization. Does that help to some extent? Any questions, please feel free to ask. I'll give a pause here. Any question? Is it, somewhere relatable, or is it absolutely out of the head or so?
Minal, are these features or all these topics that you mentioned available on the enterprise trial version?
Yeah, Rohit, that's what is my view. Let's try to see that. As far as I know, they are available with a trial license on enterprise. So what you need to do is, for example, if you go to the automation cloud, if you have enterprise license, okay, then if you just choose your tenant, for example, currently I'm in this tenant, PM demo, right? If you go here into the tenant settings, no, not here. Okay, here itself. For this tenant, we have almost everything enabled except data service. So let me choose another tenant, okay? Now, okay, if I choose this tenant, if I go to its settings, right, you see that I have all of these different services, but they are not enabled, right? I need to specifically enable, of course, you need to have the enterprise license in place. So if you have the license, you can enable it. Once you enable and save, you load the tenant again, and then you should be able to see the process mining on the left, right? Or if not on the left, then in the more, you will be able to see the process mining. Would that be okay with everyone? Yeah.
Yeah, hi. But enterprise trial edition, I am not able to see it.
Oh, did you go to the admin and the tenants?
Yes.
Okay, in the tenants, if you go to the three dots and go to tenant settings, are you able to see all of these options or not?
Yeah, except process mining, I am able to see like task mining actions. That I can able to see.
Okay, and okay, Vivek, what is okay? This has to be the latest version only. If it is automation cloud, then probably I would need to check that.
Okay.
Okay, we can check and we can get back to you on this.
Okay.
Rohit, do we store the email IDs somewhere?
Vivek, you can just paste your email here on chat and we'll just check.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Any more questions apart from this?
Minal, actually, I have one. So if we get the metadata, so do we need to format it in a proper way, and then we need to upload to the process mining, or by process mining system itself will do that task?
You need to format the data in the way that it is acceptable for process mining. That is very important. Otherwise, the loading will fail.
Okay, so that task will be a manual process, right? So instead of doing that, instead of manually doing that, do we have any connectors available to monitor the logs regularly and to feed this data?
Good question. See, as of now, you can expect those connectors probably very soon. As of now, we don't have those connections available. Okay. You
Okay.
can use a simple SQL Server management to format the data in the way that is acceptable for UiPath process mining. But soon you can expect those connectors to be available in our cloud platform as well.
Okay. Understood. Thank you.
Okay. For example, if I just talk about this template one single file, right? That's easy. Let's talk about that. So here, if you see, you just need the data in one CSV file, only one. Okay. If I talk about this data, you need to have these fields in picture, like case ID, activity, event end, and so on. These are the mandatory fields in order to get any kind of visualization. Apart from that, you are given all of these fields as well. But more often than not, you would have your scenario wherein you would want more fields, right? More metadata or more event metadata and so on. Then you can use all of these custom fields. They are given to you for that to format. In fact, it's case sensitive also. When you try to format your data, the header, the column name has to be the exact along with taken consideration of the capital case as well. Okay. Yeah. Now coming back, let's talk about the slides a bit. Now here, if what does process mining really deliver? To be honest, there are endless things that process mining can do for you, but at the same time, let's talk about a little bit here. So if let's suppose for an invoicing process, it is very important that the invoice be checked, then approved, and then paid. As I just told you, it can tell you all the cases where it jumped from check to payment without approval. That is very important for a business from compliance angle, from legal angle, from audit angle, and so on. So process mining can highlight those cases straightforward. Then another use case could be correctness. For example, if I talk about purchase to pay, so for those who don't know purchase to pay, don't be intimidated by this word. I would say just think that in an ideal business process, you are supposed to first create a purchase order, then go to goods receipt, then invoice. So basically, what it means is if you have to buy a bigger item, right, what the business would do is they will give purchase order to a vendor. And once the vendor receives the purchase order, they will give you the goods and then and then they will charge you the money for those goods. And that is what we call it as invoice receipt. And finally, then the invoice is paid. So now this is the order which it has to happen. That first, as a business, if I need 10 laptops, I will go to Dell or Lenovo or any other company. I will give them my PO that I want 10 laptops along with 10 mouses, along with 10 headsets and so on. Then they will give me those goods, and along after that they will give me the invoice also that okay, pay me this much amount and so on. Process mining can help you know whether these activities happened in the correct order or not. If, let's say, invoice is received before you receive the goods, right? You can find out all the cases in one shot. And then you can dig deep into why that happened and how to correct it also. Okay. This is another problem. Then coming to plausibility. Now, what does that mean? A scary word, but let's break it down to very simple words. As we said, now purchase order. Now, after, see, you went to Dell or Lenovo or or any other laptop company, right? You give the PO, I want 10 laptops. It will take some times for them to give you the goods, right? It can't happen within 10 seconds, right? So process mining can help you find out those cases where goods receipt activity happened within 10 seconds of PO so that you can find out There is something wrong, something fishy, and you need to correct your whole business process. You will correct your business process only when you know what are the problems, right? That is where process mining can help you. Now, very common question that I've always asked, that okay, we have a small software, we have some logs, can we go analyze those logs? um, in theory, if I have to answer that question, the answer may be yes, but practically I would say no. See, process mining would be a software which would come at its own cost, right? You need to be able to generate the ROI, that is rate of interest. That means the money out, whatever you spend on process mining, you should be able to get more out of it. You will get that only if you put in the logs of bigger ERP systems where there are a lot of logs, the processes are complex, the organizations are bigger, and so on. Right, so we recommend you to use the logs of any of these softwares: SAP, Oracle JDE, Salesforce, ServiceNow, or Oracle EBS. There's no hard and fast limit or to it, but this is what we commonly recommend, that if you mine the logs of this data, you will be able to get benefits using process mining. Okay. Yeah, any questions so far? Anything that you want to ask? Okay, no question, let's move ahead. Now coming to process mining implementation, see, process mining implementation is generally a project which is done within, I would say somewhere around 2 months or so, an approximate figure. How that is derived is, see, the actual project work is generally done within 2 to 4 weeks, with a maximum of 6 weeks depending upon the complexity of the project. But what happens is, initially the contract is signed, then the customer is onboarded. After the customer is onboarded, what is the most important part is to set up the infra and data extraction and check. As I would say, as someone also asked, Rahul also asked, that how do you really ensure that the data is in the format that is acceptable by the UiPath process mining? That is a very, very important step, right? That is the step which takes a lot of time, and it would depend, or it would vary on business to business, company to company, how you extract the data and how you ensure that the data is something which is acceptable by UiPath process mining. Once you've done that, you feed the data into UiPath process mining and you do your analysis, and then you create some KPIs, do further analysis based on whatever is the business process that, and also the business owner that is looking to find what kind of inefficiencies. So, and then the project is finished. So basically, process mining is a continuous step wherein you pick up certain problems, solve them, and probably in the next month or in the next quarter, you pick up next set of problems and solve them, and so on. For example, let's get back into the process mining software again. So if I go back, I didn't open it, is it? Okay, let me open it again. Now, if you see in the overview, we have 88 variants. What do you mean by this 88 variants? See, now the total number of cases is 1000. If I go to the end-to-end analysis, you would see that if I go to the details, there are a lot of different paths. So all these different paths is what we call it as one variant at a time. And there are 88 different variations by which the case is moving from the first step to the last step, right? You would never want your business process to have those many variations, right? You would want to follow it specific set of activities that it should have occurred, right? That is what is called as variant. So you may want to pick up a particular set of variants corresponding to any business case that you may want to follow. You may want to solve in the beginning. For example, if I just choose variant 1, so on the right hand side you have filters. You can filter your data based on any conditions that you may want. So let's say you want to save variant 1. If you see, this looks like a happy path. You receive the invoice, you check it, you final check it, you approve and pay. That's awesome. But let's say you want to check these 3 variants, 2, 3, 4. Variant 2, where is variant 3? That's okay, here it is. Variant 4. Okay, if you see, you have 311 different cases. Now, in these 311 different cases, it is following this variant. Now, variant 2 or 3 or 4, you can granularly see any one also. For example, if you see variant 2, or let's only see variant 2, yeah. If you see variant 2, what is happening here is receiving the invoice, checking it, requesting data. Now that is not good, right? Why do you need to request data? What are those cases where the request data is happening? That means when you are receiving the invoice, you are not able to get the full data. Why is it so? You want to solve that problem, right? So you may check further details corresponding to, for example, what is the case type or any other details that you have for this case, which will help you solve this problem, so that initially when you receive the invoice, you should have all the information. If you have metadata corresponding to a particular case like supplier information or case owner or any other information, you will probably cross-check with the case owner. Why are we requesting the data? That means the initial step of invoice creation. Is there some problem, gap that data is missing, or so on? So that is where you try to solve problems variant by variant as well, right? And you try to reduce the total number of different variants that are available to as minimum as possible over a period of time. Okay. Another good part of having it over cloud is, see, this is something which is very easily customizable. Now, these are the graphs and charts that will be available for you from get going. They're just available to you straightforward. If you want to customize this application, you can just go to settings, edit this application, and it's very easy for me to create any new, I would say, dashboard here. So let's say I want to add any dashboard. Okay, I've just added. It will ask me what is the layout that I am looking to use. Let's say I would want to use this layout. Then it is giving me the option to show 2 different charts. Now here, let's say in the tab 1, it is asking me further, what is the chart type that I want to choose? I want to display tabular information, bar chart, line chart, process graph, or pie chart. Right? Let's say I want to display bar chart. Now within the bar chart, what do I want to display? Let's say I want to display the case ID, and let's say, okay, instead of case ID, let's put it as case type and total amount. What is the total case amount? Do we have it? No, this is that, no, throughput time. Total case value. We don't have it. We have average case value, but we don't have total case. Oh, we have it. Yeah, we would have created it had it not been here. So I can just give any case. Let's say cases. Total value per case type. Right? And here the chart I have built in just a minute. So it will tell me for medium invoice, the total case amount is this for all the cases, okay? All the cases. And for high level, this is the total amount and so on. So if I want to visualize the data in some way, I can also customize and build my charts in just couple of clicks. So if I want to display the pie chart, right? Let's say I want to display the activity for the total number of cases. I want to display what are the different set of activities for the total number of cases. So if you see, we have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different activities in different, this many different cases, right? And what is the proportion that we have that is also being displayed. And then on the top, if I want to display any particular KPI, I can display that also. For example, I want to display the total number of cases, or I want to display the total number of events, I can display that, or the total number of, let's say the total case value, but doesn't make sense, right? Or average case value, right? What is the average case value, and so on. So this way, in just few clicks or so, I have built my own chart. That is how you can create it and you can publish. Once you publish, this chart would be available for you in order to view the analysis. So it's the only tricky part, or the time that you need to spend is to format your data in the way that is acceptable for process mining. Probably this is too short a webinar for me to explain you in detail how you format the data in the way that is acceptable for UiPath process mining. But as of now, I can just tell you that you have to follow the instructions given in order to find out, or in order to format the data. Does that help? Any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay, if no, let's move ahead. Let's take a couple of slides and then we'll wind up this session. Okay. Okay, coming to the deployment scenario, I think you've already seen that process mining is available via UiPath Automation Cloud. The advantages of using cloud is that you can just enable a service in UiPath Cloud and you can just get going by using any application that we have. It is also available on premise as a software by using UiPath Automation Cloud. In fact, going forward, we only offer all the on-premise softwares as a part of Automation Cloud package. The look and feel of the same would be absolutely similar to how it is visible on cloud. The difference is cloud, everything is managed by UiPath. You have updates every 2 weeks. You don't need to worry about infrastructure management and so on. In Automation Cloud, because it's gonna be your own setup in your own premise on your own server, so you are responsible for maintaining the software, and probably every 6 months or so you will be given a package to upgrade the UiPath Automation Cloud as such. So that's the main difference, right? So rapid time to value, you can just enable, load your data, get going. Then access SaaS services and Automation Cloud, simplified IT, because you don't need to bother about how you manage the data and so on. That is being taken care by UiPath altogether. You just need to mine your own business processes. So that is, I think, as a starter, that's what I wanted to cover with respect to UiPath process mining, that how it is. Any questions that you have with respect to UiPath process mining, please feel free to ask.
Yeah, Minal, this is Vinod. I have one small question. So this is based on cloud, right? If you have on-premise orchestrator setup,
Hmm.
So would the data feeding and the visualization part can be on the same tenant, or how it could be? Data loading and visualization part?
We know as of now, we don't give process mining as a standalone software. We don't sell it anymore. There are only two ways to get process mining. One is through cloud or via automation suite.
Okay, got it.
So, if you already have things in place, I think you need to talk to your partner manager in order to understand how to go about this, because this could be a custom solution for you. Because if it would be a new customer, we would say automation suite. What is the advantage of suite is you get all the applications in one go. You use which one, it is your wish, depending upon the licenses that you buy, but everything would be available. For example, for cloud, right, we can just enable a service in a tenant. Automation suite would be same. But if you already have orchestrator in place, so just talk to your manager, partner manager, and they'll come back for a custom solution for you.
Okay, Mina. Thank you. Got it.
Any other questions that you have, please feel free to ask.